You're watching Coaching After Dark with Auntie Aisha, CA, Reese, and Coach Kim. We're the morning show for night shifters. Hey, night shifters. Hi, night shifters, and welcome back to Coaching After Dark, the morning show for night shifters. Today, quite simple, we are continuing the conversation we started last week with Mr. Octavius Holliday, attorney, that is. So, without further ado, let's just jump back into last week's conversation. We left off asking Mr. Holliday, do people spend more time filming than they do actually calling 911? Let's take a listen.
Yeah.
Are you now in today's society that people are picking up the phone to record faster than to call 911? Because people were there, but
I heard that. I heard that when I saw that, and I heard it, and I was starting to question my own manhood. Like, okay, somebody is jumping on a lady. Do I get in the middle of that? We got some crazy folks out here. All right. Now, if I got my pistol on, I have a firearm. You know, I'm much quicker to jump in situations when I'm armed, right? But you jump in situations, you might not be here anymore. But I would definitely call 911 though. You know, and I would call 911 and record to try to make sure we document it. But do I jump in? That came up a lot. Would somebody jump in? My gut reaction is I probably would, even with a risk to myself. But it wouldn't be the smartest thing. I know that for sure. But when we get people recording, man, you know what? Everybody records, all races. But boy, we love recording. Our people love recording and putting on World Star. We love recording. So, but in all actuality, that's some great evidence right there. We have some habits as a people, seems like that helps prosecutions. We like to record, we like to brag on Facebook about it. We like to write rap songs that describe. I was just in a trial 2 months ago. Guy wrote the rap song describing the crime completely. And then think we're going to use that? No, we're going to use it. You know,
Right.
So
it's so funny. It's so funny. I use that a lot. Sorry, y'all, but it's not funny.
It's fine.
But the family, Jeremy's family, is wearing shirts that are calling him Mr. Knockout.
Wow.
That was a funeral shirt, Mr. Knockout. Mr. Knockout, because he was known for beating people up. He was known to be a violent man. And so that was his nickname, Mr. Knockout.
So his nickname before any of this happened was Mr. Knockout.
Before any of this happened, Mr. Because he didn't knock her out. So they couldn't have named him from that.
Right. It looked like she took them punches.
She ate them, yeah.
Looked like she ate them, yeah, right. So
that mama adrenaline was going. She knew her baby was close.
So so his nickname was Mr. Knockout. It's inappropriate given how he died, but you know, hey.
So you know, social media ate that up now. You know,
right.
You know, they gave him the business.
right. That's a sad situation, but I mean, I've been doing this for 20 years, being in either side, defense side or prosecution side. I've seen people make some dumb decisions that led to their demise, just some really stupid decisions, and that was a decision I bet he wish he could take back, right? So, again, not wishing death on anybody, but we would have got to that point if he had kept his hands to himself, honestly. Right? That's elementary. So, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
And to your point about would you have jumped in, there was a news article that I was reading, and I wish I would have wrote the details down, but it happened recently where a young man did jump in to help a young lady who had been, the guy basically like grabbed her butt and was, grabbing on her and trying to get with her or whatever, and was being aggressive. And he stepped in to stop it, and the man shot him several times.
Right, and again, those stories are common. It happens. It's just I was thinking about where my mind would go. It wouldn't go probably to somebody's going to shoot me. It'd probably go to stop the situation. But no, it's dangerous. It's dangerous at any point. Again, I'm not just walking around Jacksonville scared, but when I have certain situations I'm going into, then people should just assume I'm carrying. So that's the bottom line. But no, it's a dangerous situation. But at the very least, you can record and call the police, right? At the very least. So
yeah, absolutely.
We have your
Provided attention. I want to ask one more question regarding permitless carry, because we just had Gridiron Firearms on last about gun safety and training and things of that nature. Right. So now, carry, what exactly mean for Joe Blow citizen?
You woke up on me. I'm sorry.
It's okay. What does that now? I can just walk around with my gun and it doesn't matter anymore? You don't have to.
You don't have to have a permit to carry. So, all right. So let's talk about what was legal to begin with. It was always legal without a permit to have the firearm, a pistol at least. Well, a rifle you can carry anywhere in your vehicle, but a pistol you can have in your car if it's in the glove box, locked or unlocked, in your center console, in a zipper pouch, in a gun case, in a holster that's buttoned up. Right. All those were legal ways to carry. Before they were deemed as being not readily accessible for immediate use. You could always have a firearm in your home. You can always have your firearm at your place of work and in between, going from those places. So that was always the case. What you couldn't do is carry a firearm unlawfully in your car, right? Have it in your map pocket behind the passenger seat. A lot of people do that. Have it between the seats. Have it under the seat. That was illegal without a permit. And then a lot of young Black men got arrested for that. Because they really just got arrested out of ignorance. I've seen so many cases where they were carrying it in the glove box, which was legal, and the police are behind them. They get scared and put it under the seat. They went from legal to illegal. And then our office has our different ways of handling that. But regardless, not all of that's illegal. All that's legal. So what you couldn't do before, you couldn't walk around, and this is probably what causes most concern for citizens, is you just couldn't walk around Walmart with a gun in your pocket without having a permit. Now you can. Now you don't have to have a permit to have a weapon concealed on your person. You still got some places you can't go with a firearm. You can't go to, in the courthouse or some places, school campuses. But regardless, say Walmart. Walmart's a lot more dangerous place right now because everybody in there could have firearms. But I would say this too, to make people have a little bit less worry. People who can carry, first of all, felons couldn't carry firearms before. They still can't legally carry now. All right. So the people who are affected by this law, people who, I guess, could afford a firearm, but then couldn't afford the a couple of $100s for the license, right? Because people who had a firearm and they can afford the license, bought the license, paid for the license, took the class, and they're carrying legally already. People who can't carry still, right? So I guess that's a small population that feels like I could never really afford the license. I can afford the gun, but not the license. A lot of people who want to carry can't even afford the gun. So they only have the firearm to begin with. So there's a small population of people who could afford the gun, $500, $600, and then didn't want to spend a few $100s on the license. Okay, so how much is that? I don't know how much that population is, but I think people are worried about just everybody having a gun inside of Walmart, where a lot of people are scared of guns. People who could carry were carrying anyway. So you just didn't think you were at risk before, but there's a lot of people inside Walmart already carrying before this law passed. So I don't really see our incidents of murder happening or rising to some degree. I just don't see it. I'm not alarmed by the whole thing. It's a conservative movement, a Second Amendment type of movement where having somebody pay those couple of $100 for the license is seen as an infringement upon your right to bear arms. So that's what the whole premise is, that you shouldn't have anything that infringes upon your right to bear arms, and that would include a couple of $100, making going to a class mandatory, those kind of things. So, I guess we might have a rash of people shooting themselves in the foot when they didn't take the class and those kind of things. But I'm just not super worried, because I know that really it only applies to a small population. If you wanted to carry a gun and didn't buy one before, couldn't afford one before, you're still not gonna be able to afford one now. Guns aren't cheaper because the law changed. So yeah.
I think DeSantis knew the same thing you're saying. I think he figured out, what can I do that really won't really affect anything, but will get me a lot of national coverage, and will satisfy my base.
Yes, I think he goes home at night with his team and does just that. Now, I can't come out and tag Governor DeSantis, because that's technically my boss. He's the head prosecutor in the state of Florida, so I make good money to do my job, and I'm gonna keep on doing my job. But I thought when he first got elected that he was going to run for president. I thought when he first got elected governor, he pardoned the Groveland Four. And I don't know if y'all know that story about the 4 men down in Central Florida back in the 60s, might be in the early 60s, late 50s. And basically they were railroaded. Some lady lied on them and all that. One got killed in police custody, all this such craziness. And it was proven that they were innocent. And he pardoned them as soon as he came into office. I was like, you know what? He has an agenda. I thought right from the beginning. That's the first thing he did when he came into office. He got an agenda. Conservative Republican, pardon the Groveland Four, and then his appointments to the bench have been pretty fair-handed and even. A lot of African Americans, a lot of minorities get into the bench. I was like, he is trying to build not just his main core base, but build support across the aisle and all kinds of things. So he's only recently started doing some things that are, it seems to be a kind of an anti-people of color thing in the last year or two kind of thing. But regardless, I thought from the beginning he had some ambitions for president. So I was not mistaken in that regard. So anyway, that is what it is. He's my boss. He just approved a raise for all prosecutors. So hey, God bless Governor DeSantis. Right. So
cheers to that.
Cheers. Yeah. So that's 2 years in a row. He thought about us, thought about the law enforcement. So all right, there it is.
Well, thank you for joining us today and shedding some real knowledge, and not just Auntie Aisha and I going, head to what we think should happen, what would happen.
Yes, ma'am. Anytime. It's no problem at all.
Call on you another day, another time, another situation.
Oh yeah, reach out. It's no problem. I probably still wear a t-shirt though, put the fix up. So all right. Y'all have a good evening then, okay?
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. So what do you think, Aisha?
I am really, I'm so glad we brought him on.
Yeah.
Because just to hear it from a different perspective and come outside of my echo bubble that all of us are like, he should have been killed.
Right.
And just to hear it from a legal standpoint was refreshing. It was really good. Yeah.
I really wanted Gridiron to be able to join us as well, but I immediately wanted to make sure we an attorney, because I know we are quick to jump to opinions. Me too. I didn't know about this story till you brought it to my attention, because I have a bad habit of not watching the news. But he was like, what? Oh yeah. And then I heard everybody saying, if it was my mama. Yeah, because if it was my mama. So I understand. So I was glad to hear, like you said, the legal perspective.
Yeah.
And what they look for.
And it was really interesting to hear when he said that the prosecution team most likely dropped it, or the state attorney dropped it because they probably didn't think they could get a jury to convict him. I didn't think that was a part of their decision making. I thought there was a specific law that said that kind of cleared them. So that was really interesting to learn.
Yeah, that really was. I guess they better be back in Illinois and not Florida.
Yeah, absolutely.
Florida would have went for it. And I think the key thing is because the guy was running away, so he was no longer a threat, but he got chased down. So I think that's where the legalities come in.
That's where it could have went wrong for him. And, again, that's the legal side of it, but the human side of it says, once you were a threat, you're a threat. I'm not going to give you an opportunity to gain strength, get to a gun.
Yeah.
Now, if she, like I said earlier, if she told that boy to shoot that girl, that's something she's going to have to live with for the rest of her life as a mama.
Right. Yeah. And I did not know about that part until you mentioned it. Wow. Yeah.
Because at that point, you allowed rage to take over and you were completely out of control.
Yeah. Complete emotions.
Yeah.
At a particular point. And I understand you're hurt. You just got technically beat up, and Yeah, the whole thing is just sad. I can't imagine what hot dog is so good to cause all this.
Girl.
You know I'm going to Chicago in September.
I hope you strap it.
Do I really need to go?
No.
Right.
I'm not going to Chicago. No, thank you.
Chicago, because y'all the wild Midwest for real.
For real. No, thank you. No Chicago for me.
Jeez. But anyway, Auntie Aisha, how was your week? How was your weekend? Any news for us? Do we have a weekly reading? No.
No. I was so preparing for this interview and so excited, and I did not pull any cards.
Okay.
So, but this week I have really been, and how do I say this? I've really been researching a lot on Florida history.
Really?
Yeah, I'm so intrigued about it. I went down to St. Augustine, Florida on a ghost tour, and I learned so much about Florida history, with the slaves being, this area being the first underground railroad, how we were a part of the Seminole War, how that war was not even about Indians. That war was really about getting us back into the hands of slave owners after we ran here for freedom. Like, it's just so much information that I'm learning. And I'm like, I cannot believe at 43 years old, I didn't know any of this stuff.
Well, can I ask you to, if you haven't already, write down little notes on everything you learned, and then we do an episode on slave history in Florida?
Oh, absolutely. So there's this professor at FAMU.
Mm-hmm.
His name is Anthony Dixon. And I recently added him on my Facebook, and he wrote this amazing book. He's trying to make a movie. He is like one of the leading historians that's heading up the life and the story of the Black Seminole. I would love to reach out to him and be like, hey, we got a podcast. Would you like?
Then do it.
Would you like to come on and talk to us? Because I'm on YouTube. I'm listening to all his lectures, and he is just a wealth of knowledge.
I love that idea. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's on the show and let's do it. And even if his schedule doesn't allow for it, let's at least go over the points that you've learned, because I would love to hear all about them.
Yeah. Okay. Absolutely.
Too.
Yeah. I want to say this one thing. If you're here in Florida or you're visiting the St. Augustine, Florida area, visit Fort Mose.
Okay.
That's one of the first Black free settlements.
Hey. So
and they're actually rebuilding it. I'm sorry, go ahead, Kim.
Is there like a tour or something, or do we just go and walk around on our own, or how does it work?
It is a state park, so you can go in anytime that operating hours. But throughout the year, they have different events. So I just went to a reenactment that they did of one of their famous battles, where Fort Mose actually held off British invaders. So we got to see the battle and how the Indians and the Black free Blacks worked together to fight this big empire. So that was nice.
Did you take clips that you can share with us?
Yes, absolutely. I have some good clips. Every February they have it's called Flight to Freedom. So it shows a reenactment of how they were leaving like places like South Carolina, because these were the Gully Geechees that were coming running, and how they were running from South Carolina. So it shows them, and it has different places that you go to that's numbered. So it's like maybe like 1 through 10. So when you go to station 1, you see the runaway slave, and he's talking to you and telling you his experience and being on the boat and leaving the plantation. And then station 2 will show you the priest who's welcoming them in. And there's even a station where the slave catcher speaks to you. And these people are in character.
Right, right.
So it's very like.
And they do that in February?
They do that in February. Yeah.
I'm going to have to make sure I go this February. Next,
yes.
2024. Okay. I like that. I'm ready.
Yeah.
I'm ready. Well, good. Well, I won't hold up your time or any more. Oh, yeah. We got to tell the listeners and viewers that our YouTube channel is under construction. We do have one, but we're going to be more active now so that you can catch all of our conversation and discussions following the show, behind the scenes stuff, and just us acting goofy from time to time when we feel like turning on camera. And on our YouTube channel, which is the.cad.podcast, the CAD podcast. So definitely follow us on Instagram, check out our YouTube. Our Facebook is kind of hijacked right now because someone from Vietnam stole my identity on Facebook and took over my page. So I have to regain access to the Facebook page, but we're still on Instagram and we're still on YouTube. And of course, we're still right here on the Lit TV network. So anything else for our viewers before we get out of here, Auntie Aisha?
No, just I love y'all.
Yes. Oh, yeah. One more thing. I know I keep saying one more thing. We are trying to put the final pieces into place to do our next CAD Live. Yay!
Yay!
Yes, so we are planning on ending the summer with a bang by having a pool party with Coaching After Dark, live with DJ Al Pete on the 1s and 2s. So as we get more information, we'll spread that out. But right now, save the date, August 27th, 2023. Yes. And get ready for the next CAD Live. Until next time, night shifters, behave. All right, we out.
We out. Bye.
But when it got cold outside, they had another house next door that was a winter home. It had walls. They would take sticks and weave them together just like you'd weave a basket. And then mud and clay would be plastered over this that dries very hard. This is what's known as wattle and daub. Say that, wattle and daub. And all over the eastern United States, wattle and daub style homes. In the northern parts where the Cherokees lived up in the mountains, they didn't have palms. And so their tribes would use the bark peeled off the trees. Just like I took the bark and made it into a bucket, you can also use it for roofing of homes. In the Great North, the tribes made roofs and walls with the bark of the birch and the elm trees, the longhouse. The Great Lakes tribe built dome-shaped houses using the barks and woven mats known as wigwams. And so there are many styles of native homes. Everybody say this with me. Paha. I said my name earlier. Paha glosely, sawgrass, grass, paha. That is what that's called. It's also the Seminole word chiki. Chiki. Okay, so every tribe has a different name for this. So using what nature gives us, we could live. We could take that bark and we could also twist the inside bark, the cambium layer, and we could make it into rope. There's a piece of rope made with the bark of a tree. The grasses that grow in the woods around here, one of them is known as yucca. They planted this around the walls of the original city to keep the enemies from climbing the walls at night. First, they had to climb through the sharp yucca plants, and hopefully it would alert the guard. And so yucca leaves are very useful. They make very strong rope. And that's how we would make fishing line and fishing nets as well. Yucca root is nature's soap. Yucca stick that grows up is nature's fireboard. So if you want to rub sticks together, that would be a good one to get. And so a very useful plant. One thing you don't want to do is eat it. It tastes kind of yucca. It's not yucca, that's a different plant, okay? So natives also made their ropes with moss. See the moss in the trees? That's the dead, alive moss. But what I have here is what moss looks like when it dies. turns black, that's a skeleton of the gray moss. And we can make the rope as long as we want just by adding to it and splicing. Same thing with the grass rope or the bark rope. We can make them thick, thin, as long as we want. And so that's what natives would make their ropes out of. Grasses.
You're watching Coaching After Dark with Auntie Aisha, CA, Reese, and Coach Kim. We're the morning show for night shifters. Hey, night shifters.